on CCFm 107.5.
Such an honor and a privilege to be joined virtually via StreamYard to educational psychologist Seago. Thank you so much for your time this morning. What an honor and privilege to be chatting to you. In way of an introduction, currently only 2% of children's books are in an African language, with South Africans facing a literacy crisis. There is definitely a need to address this gap with inclusive books, which embrace the diversity of our beautiful cultures that are part of South Africa's heritage. So on the line via StreamYard, educational psychologist Seago, thank you for your time. With regard to this literacy crisis that we're facing in our beautiful country, can you give us insights into the situation and just really what it is that we're facing?
Good morning to you and to your listeners. The stats are quite shocking, quite horrendous, if I have to say. So a study that was done in 2016 indicated that almost 80% of 10-year-olds or grade 4 learners are unable to read on the level that they're expected to read in. And we know that pre-COVID, a typical grade 4 learner was reading on a grade 3 level. Now, when we consider the effects of COVID, having been out of school for about 15 to 24 months, that takes the reading ability of a child in grade 4 even much lower than it's supposed to be. And more than that, we also know that 52% of learners that start grade 1, only 52 make it to grade 12. So what happened to the rest? I think obviously there are varying aspects as to why they didn't make it to grade 12, but I really think that literacy is a very big contributing factor to the fact that they don't make it to grade 12. Additional to that, children that are not able to read by the age of 13 are most likely to drop out of school. And again, then they don't make it to high school, which for me is quite shocking, because if we are unable to read, that completely limits your ability to perform well at school and for future success as well.
In terms of this crisis that we see, I love the fact that there are people like yourself who are saying, we've got to let the kids read in their language, in their mother tongue, but also literacy or books that they are interested in, because there's no use passing them a book and they're like, oh, this is the most boring book. We're not going to in any way, shape or form stimulate a love for reading by doing that, right?
Absolutely. And I really love this initiative that Wimpy has taken upon themselves with ethnic kids to try and open up a world where children can relate to books and they can relate to characters that speak their language. I really feel that if children are able to see themselves in the literature that they read and they feel represented, that contributes positively to their self-concept and how they see themselves. I think if you consider books about children being the heroes, being the problem solvers, then they think, hey, I can also solve my own problems. I can also aspire to work in that particular field because this character in this book was able to do incredible things. And I think it's just about kids seeing themselves and being affirmed and feeling like I'm also important and that I matter and I'm represented.
Now, in terms of that, you're involved in an incredible initiative with regard to helping multilingual, multicultural children's books come into our beautiful country. Can you tell us about it and just how it's going and the significance of this?
Yes. I think there's a misconception that mother tongue learning and reading is outdated, which obviously is not. We know that being bilingual has many additional benefits to it. And I really think that Wimpy has done a fantastic job of unearthing the talent to make sure that the books are accessible to children that are of multicultural backgrounds. And I think there's so many South African authors out there, but not being backed up by companies or brands such as this makes it slightly difficult for the books to be exposed to the wider population. So this has really been for me like an incredible initiative that I definitely love. I was sharing with one of the parents that come to see me, that, in my practice, I have books of children of different, races and hair and ethnic backgrounds. And you should see how the kids gravitate towards books that have characters that look like them. It really just warms your heart to see it in real life and in practice, how the impact of this partnership with Wimpy and ethnic kids, how that has had on children that we work with on a daily basis.
Sure, that is beautiful. If you've just joined the conversation or just tuned in to CCFM, we're chatting to educational psychologist Seago. Such an honor and privilege to be chatting to you. Rachel, you've also got a question that you'd like to ask this morning.
Yeah, so Sayoko, when it comes to education, well, it comes to books and being in their own mother tongue, what is some of the impact that it does have on the kids?
So as expressed that, the fact that children are able to be bilingual, it really has incredible benefits. So I think the impact of being able to read books in your own mother tongue not only helps you to understand the language, it's a great way to pass culture and traditional aspects from one generation to another. Because obviously when certain words or concepts are translated to English, it doesn't quite capture the narrative quite well. And it really is a great way to preserve culture, to preserve tradition when children are able to read in their home, in their mother tongue. And it connects generations and it connects people from different cultures. So it really has many benefits. And I think it is something that we need to drive and make sure that our children are able to be exposed to as far and as wide as possible.
As we wrap up, I want to just ask and deal with this statistic that you gave us a bit earlier. When it comes to 10-year-old children in our beautiful country, 78% struggle to read with understanding and meaning. How do we as parents, how do we as adults help them realistically in this situation?
I love that question because, the stats for me indicate that literacy isn't just an aspect that can be taught at school, but it has to be taught at home as well. But how do we do that? It is by reading to our children and reading with our children. More than anything, it is also engaging with our children when we read. So when we read with them, it's important that we ask them questions about the characters in the books. Who do you identify with? Do you think that character acted in a right way or in a wrong way? What would you have done in that situation? Using different pitch of our voices so that we can express the emotion behind certain words or exclamations or anything like that. So I think it's important that we as parents, I really think it's our responsibility to try and expose our children to as much literature as possible, not just, books that represent them, but books that represent people from different cultures as well, because that will help them have a bit of an understanding of what other cultures and what other people from different backgrounds go through. But I think the gist of what you have asked is that we as parents need to read with our children, because literacy is also a skill that is taught in the home, in a relationship that is trusting and that is loving. And I think if we as parents love books, it will be passed down to our children as well, because we will involve them in that.
That is so good. And for those parents that are struggling to find books in their mother tongue, where can they go? Please help us.
Yes, definitely. Accessibility is such a big thing. So the books that are now published in the 11 official languages, as well as including the Khoi language, is on the Wimpy website. So just www.wimpy.co.za, and all the books are available online there. There's also an option to have the books read to you if you are, let's say, driving, or you don't have the energy after a long day to read to your child. You can just have someone read the books to you auditory, and then alternatively, I think it is, if there is a hunger and there's exposure and there's a need, I think most of these books that we speak of will be able to be put up in all the popular bookstores, because I think it is an important aspect. And I think us speaking about this and raising awareness about the importance of this will make people more hungry for this, and thus make sure that there's a demand and supply aspect. But for now, the books are available on wimpy.co.za, available for download and as well as to listen to in audio version.
Wow.
Brilliant. Absolutely love it. Thank you so much for your time this morning, Seago.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We appreciate it. There we go, ladies and gentlemen, chatting about the importance of